I think it's hilarious that even more than the victims, Harvey Weinstein has to be the most surprised out of all this because he went to bed as basically the Tony the Tiger mascot for rapes.
Yeah.
And he woke up and they were like, you're almost free to go. Like, if a few things fall your direction, you can just walk out of prison. And he's just like, are you sure? I raped a lot. Welcome back, everyone. Another episode of Breaking Takes, baby.
It feels like a long time, but, you know, it hasn't been that long. But if it feels like it's been a long time, I would encourage you to go to breakingtakes.supercast.com and subscribe, because then you'll never have an off week.
Exactly.
You'll have content that other people do not have.
We just put up an episode where we talk about O.J. Simpson, the great O.J. passing away, ascending to the beyond. We also spoke about an $18,000 alpha male boot camp. A pair of
if
nuts.
You've got extra change to spare and want to be an alpha dog,
just a quick
sign up.
Just a quick $18K if you guys want to find out more about that. breakingtakes.supercast.com for all of your alpha male needs. That's if you've been listening to this podcast, you know that we're an alpha male show.
Oh, totally.
And that's something that we care deeply about. So definitely,
that's absolutely my
definitely
MO.
get that on Breaking
when
Takes
people
Premium.
see me walking around, they're like, shit, like, get out of that alpha male's way.
Yeah.
I know I have that vibe.
Especially because you have your chain on this episode and I don't.
Always.
So I do feel out alphaed right now, because that is where the sustenance of my alphaness comes from, is the chain around my neck.
Yeah, I've got this nice sweater on, this nice designer sweater, this chain. You're just over there in a t-shirt.
Look at you.
Just kidding. I wear t-shirts I'm wearing pajamas underneath.
Yeah.
I am actually wearing pajama pants.
You're sitting in a cold tub. I just can't see it. Just the entire podcast, a 90-minute ice bath.
Yes. But yeah, so welcome back, guys. It's good to be here on the Breaking Takes podcast. I wanted to start the podcast with a question for Zach, because I've been seeing this trend on TikTok and it's been really funny. So I wanted to ask you, would you rather have your girlfriend, Julie, be lost in the woods with a bear or a man?
Be lost in the woods with a bear or
a man. It's more difficult than you would think.
and the bear is a bear. It's not a large gay man. It's an actual bear.
That's correct. Okay. It's good to get clarification.
Because that would be my first choice.
Four-legged, furry animal bear, not a cute, larger gay man.
Okay, well, if she's lost in the woods, so let me just get a visual.
She's just in the woods. She can probably find her way out, but it's a dire situation potentially.
So is it like, I'm picturing sort of like a woods situation where it's almost like the Goblet of Fire maze, where you're not exactly sure where the bear is, but the bear is in there somewhere? Or is it like she just zaps into the woods and the bear's right in front of her?
No, I'm going to say that she's in the woods. The bear is not necessarily right in front of her. It's just in there with her somewhere. Okay. And also, we don't know. It's not like the cocaine bear. I mean, it could be. It could not be. Bears don't always want to just, ravage people and eat them. So this could be a friendly bear or not. And same goes with the man.
Okay.
It could be a friendly man or it could be not. So, it's up to you. What do you think is the safer bet?
I'm going to say, if my girlfriend could be lost in the woods with a man or a bear, I would say you have to choose man. Because
interesting.
Man she could use the powers of seduction, if she had to be out to, use that to stay alive.
Where I would say let's bank also on the fact that like she will get out of the woods at
Yeah.
some point. Like she's not gonna get lost and die.
Okay.
But
Oh, so she'll get out of the woods at
but
some
who
point.
knows when, she might need help. You've already answered though. You said man. So I feel like you can't go back. Now she could meet her match. That's not you, Zach. This could be Adonis in there. So that's what you picked, but I
Well,
found that
I was
okay,
gonna
go,
say, here's the
go.
thing. She's been lost in the woods with both men and bears present, and she's
Yeah.
gotten out alive both times.
Okay.
But the only time worth talking about was with the bear because that was a story. She was with a friend and passed the bear, and she told me about encountering this bear. She's also been lost in the woods, and there have been men present. Whether or not she's encountered them is one thing, but
Yeah.
I feel like the it's kind of unclear what lost means because are they lost in each other's eyes? Are they lost? Are they like on opposite sides of the woods? Are they going to encounter each other at some point? Are they?
It's
Is there
more
a
of just
chance
like
they
what
never
do you
encounter?
consider more dangerous? A
Okay.
bear or a man? What would you say is more dangerous to her?
I would say for her own safety, she would 100% any human being would have a better chance against a man.
It's just funny you say that because so many people are going up to women and asking women, and my answer absolutely is I'd rather be in the woods with a bear than a
Really?
man. And people are going up to women and asking them like, would you rather be like in the woods with a bear or a man? And we're like, bear, please give us the bear.
Okay.
Because we're less, I mean, because and this is just obviously a loose thing because it's like we really don't know if this like a grizzly bear, is it a black bear, is this man like a cannibal, like we don't really know those things. It's more just our initial reaction is that we feel that we are safer in the woods with just a bear like living its life rather than a man that is definitely going to try. If they see us, they're going to talk to us, they're going to bother us. Maybe they'll help, maybe they'll not help, we don't know. But I'd rather be in the woods with a bear and be unbothered. I feel like I have a better chance at being unbothered in the woods with a bear.
Well, here's an easy way to solve the question because I suspect that there's a lot of people who were asked that question, especially if it's on the sidewalk in the city,
Yeah.
that have only encountered men and have never encountered a bear.
Fair.
I would say to even the playing field, you put the man and the bear in an environment that they're familiar with, and then they answer the question. So it's like, would you rather be sitting on a subway car with just a loose man that's also on the subway with
That's
you,
alarming too.
or a loose bear, and you have to stay in the subway car for 5 minutes, and then you can choose. And they may still say, man, they still may say, hey, look, I don't trust the guy in a trench coat. Give me the grizzly bear sitting on the subway
Yeah.
on the F train. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah, I mean, when you take the bear, as soon as you take the bear out of the woods, I get less inclined to want to be around the bear because now the bear is probably stressed out.
Yeah.
They don't want to be outside the woods. But when I'm in the woods, I've encountered many of bears. However, they're black bears, and black bears aren't very vicious. They're pretty
No,
skittish.
yeah.
I would not really be interested in encountering a grizzly bear and God forbid a polar bear. But I would feel very much at more peace in the woods with black bears running amok than men running amok.
Yeah, it also depends on what type of guy because
True.
you could easily just pass some guy in the woods that's backpacking, some college student that's just off and he's hiking and he walked by you and he gives a nod and you give a nod and you walk by. And then there's also you pass a guy that's his pants are covered in blood and he's speaking in gibberish. Maybe he's saying a prayer, he's casting spells, something just really weird and out of the ordinary. Maybe he's writing a manifesto, planning something. So
God forbid he lives in the woods. I mean, he's recluse. He's off grid. Who knows what he's capable of?
Yeah. Now, what if you come across a man riding a bear?
Whoa.
Does that make you feel more or less safe? Because there's a magical aspect to both of those.
Exactly right. I'm thinking, am I more or less safe? I would say that's a difficult question because if I see that, I'm now thinking, what's next?
Yeah.
Like a toddler, like riding a bald eagle. Like, what's next? I don't know.
Probably a shot of vodka, because if you see a man riding a bear, you're 100% in Russia. So that's pretty much the only place that could ever happen.
Shout out if you're riding a bear. But you know, PSA, let's try to leave the bears alone. But I encourage our listeners to ask this question because it's pretty funny to think about and hear answers. And I kind of was shocked when I was on TikTok and so many women were like, oh, the bear.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, society, we're having a problem here.
Yeah.
Where we're so disinterested in being around men that we just are like, maybe we'll get mauled, maybe not.
Yeah. I mean,
we'll risk it.
To be fair, there was a point where I was so socially awkward that if you said, would you rather be in the woods and pass a full-grown woman or a full-grown bear, I would have also said the bear, because any encounter of someone with the opposite sex
was scary.
I would have riddled me with life-ending anxiety. So
and
I would have.
Look at you now, Zach. Just a total ladies' man.
I'm just a hot hunk that can take on a woman or take on a bear or take on both. Wow. Who knows?
Yeah.
Everyone has their preferences in the bedroom. And if you want to incorporate wild animals, that's something
none of our business. None of our business.
Yeah. You can do what you want to do.
But, no, that's true.
But yes, speaking, I do have a story that involves a man now.
Okay. Wow.
I know that is the most unbelievable segue you've ever heard in the history of segues. But speaking of a man in the woods, there was a Belgian man whose body makes its own alcohol, and he was cleared of drunk driving because of that fact. Okay. This comes from The Guardian. So
that's insane. I want to know how that happens.
So a Belgian man has been acquitted of drunk driving because he has auto-brewery syndrome, ABS.
What the hell?
An extremely rare condition whereby the body produces alcohol, his lawyer has said. Anne's Gescare said on Monday that, quote, in another unfortunate coincidence, her client worked at a brewery, but 3 doctors who independently examined him had confirmed ABS. So basically, this guy who also happens to work at a brewery got pulled over for drunk driving. The cop smelled alcohol, but apparently this guy's body produces alcohol and gives off a scent.
Yeah, well, your gut.
Exactly.
If you drink, it's in your gut, and chances are somebody smells your breath. It's because your gut smells like alcohol.
Exactly. And this is also a free pass from God to drunk drive.
Kind of.
Because even if you're actually drinking, you can just blame it on ABS, because there's no way the cop can know how much of the alcohol came from your body and how much of the alcohol came from the bottle.
Do they test? Well, I'm wondering, though, if he blew into a breathalyzer, at what level would it blow in as? Just on the basis of his auto-brewery syndrome. Would it be like, oh, he's like just at a 0.08, which is the legal limit? And then if he's actually drinking, it goes way over that?
Yeah.
Yeah, thinking out loud.
it doesn't say what the baseline that he sits at is, but if I had to guess, if I'm using my medical alcoholic skills, I would
Yeah.
say that in order for this guy to live, he'd have to be sitting somewhere around a point oh 0.04 to a point oh 0.06.
Yeah.
And then if you were beyond that, if you were 5 to 6 drinks deep all the time, seems like it would be fun for a little bit, but it would get, pretty out of control.
So he's like
pretty fast.
perpetually drunk. Just
He's
like all the time.
He's perpetually in the golden zone. Because that's what I'm
Wow.
saying. Like, I think this could be a fun disease, but if you're around a point oh 0.04 to a point oh 0.06, like 2 to 3 drinks deep all the time is the perfect way to live life. Like, you don't want to be slurring your words, and
Yeah.
but if you're just 1 drink deep, you're not going to feel it. If you're like walking around constantly, like you just ripped 2 shots, that is the perfect level.
Yeah, so I'm just reading more about this syndrome. So it's basically like there's fungi in the gut that is fermenting, and that is what's causing. He literally has a brewery in his gut.
Yeah.
Um,
Your
so that's
body
pretty
becomes
incredible.
a brewery. Yeah.
Wow, wow. I don't think I would like that disease as much as you're talking it up. I don't think because then at what point you also just kind of become like a alcoholic, even though you never drank. Your
Yeah.
body is a functioning alcoholic.
Yeah. Imagine going to AA meetings where no one else has had a drink in 6 months to 6 years or whatever, and you're
And
walking
you're like,
in.
same, but I'm still drunk.
Yeah, and you're like, yeah, I haven't touched the bottle in 6 months, and everyone's like, you're fucking drunk right
Yeah.
now because your body is brewing vodka in your stomach. And it's like, well, that doesn't count. I can, my body is the baseline. Anything beyond that is my responsibility.
I'm like, does it come out, the alcohol? Like, I guess, does he pee it out? Does he sweat it out? How does it get out? Like, could he sell this?
So it doesn't say, it doesn't go into detail of the actual disease in the article. It just says that Belgian media said in the verdict that the judge emphasized that the defendant, who was not named in line with local judicial custom, did not experience symptoms of apparent intoxication. The police court, which acquitted the man, did not immediately reply, but Lisa Florin, a clinical biologist with the Belgian hospital, said people with ABS produce the same type of alcohol found in alcoholic drinks, but generally feel less of its effects. So it sounds like the amount, I guess, if there were 4 drinks in his bloodstream, maybe he would only feel like he had 2 or 3. That's what it sounds like.
I'm also Googling now what the legal drinking limit is in Belgium
Yeah.
because it might be different.
Yeah.
Um,
How early do you think this guy's parents realized they were raising a drunk baby? Because when you're young, if you have this disease, it would probably be impossible to tell whether your toddler is just being a toddler and stumbling everywhere, walking around, or they're
Yeah.
getting drunk on their own body.
Yeah, I would think they probably realized maybe a little too late. Like you would think, I think this is so rare. They might have noticed something was going on. Like, why can't my kid like stand up straight?
Yeah.
But usually this is so rare that I still think it would have taken so long to figure out.
Yeah. Your kid
You
burps
check
in your
like
face.
vision. Yeah. You're like,
And you get a
"Ew."
hint. You're like, is that whiskey? Like, what the fuck? Did my 3-year-old get in the liquor cabinet? But yeah, it seems like it would be tough to tell from an early age if that's when this disease started to develop.
What is this in the right measurement? So it says Belgium's legal drinking age limit is zero point 0.5, which is
That has to be 0.05. There's no way it's 0.5.
that's what I'm saying.
0.5 would be like 30
Well,
drinks.
they're using a different
It's
they're
not.
it's a different it's the metric system or different system, right? Of measurement, I would
Okay,
assume.
so yeah, 3 drinks in America would be like 30 in Belgium. That works out.
Because, yeah, I was going to say, like, all of Europe says like point 0.5, with a couple are more strict at point
Okay.
0.2. But yeah, I'm just going to assume that that's pretty normal.
Yeah.
Probably similar to ours, maybe.
Yeah. If this guy's body ever stops producing alcohol, he's gonna have the worst hangover of all time. Like this will be like a 45-year hangover in the making, and he's just constantly getting hair of the dog.
Yeah, no, this kind of sucks. I just feel like this sucks. So it says that you can take some antifungals, and that will help fight off, I guess, the buildup in your gut that then
Yeah.
gets like fermented. And I mean, this man has a whole factory, like a whole enterprise, a whole business going on inside his gut, and
Yeah.
he doesn't even really get to profit off of it. That's kind of fucked up.
I mean, he could start bottling and labeling his throw up,
That's what I was thinking. Like,
and
what if he just like is like hawking loogies into a
yeah.
jar?
Especially now with the organic market, the vegan. If you said that this was human brewed alcohol, there would be a shop in Brooklyn that would start selling it immediately.
Yeah, it's kind of like the new thing is like sea moss. I feel like everybody's like eating and drinking sea moss.
I've
Are
seen that.
you
Yeah, like
familiar with that?
sea moss gel. I've definitely seen
Yeah.
that being
You want to know,
slung in Brooklyn.
I hate that I'm interested in those things. I think we're all kind of inherently interested in wanting to stumble across something that like really works, whether that's like giving you more energy or helping you sleep better or your skin.
Yeah.
And especially if it's natural. I mean, if it's actually coming from like algae or something like that. But then it's like, is this $30 product actually working? The thing is like you rarely can even tell if it's working until after you spent like $90 over like a 3-month period or something.
Well, that's why it's so easy to take advantage of people because everyone has that drive that you're talking about deep
Yeah.
down, myself included, where you're looking for the God supplement or the one thing that you can take so you could stop taking 20 bottles of pills to try to get some
Yeah.
semblance of health. And if someone comes along and says, this is the answer, it's just $80 a month. We don't have the resources to be able to biologically test that and to know for a fact whether this is going to help us or not until 5 years later some study comes out and is like this was all complete bullshit, but by that
Yeah.
time we've already spent hundreds of dollars on it.
Yeah, no, I don't typically. I've been almost this close to buying the sea moss because I'm like, oh, I like, I'm drawn to the ocean. So anything that like, I truly believe that the ocean and salt water does so much for my health and my skin and like healing wounds, and it makes my hair feel so good and look good. So I'm such a sucker for like anything that comes from the ocean.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, like that might be a product for me, but I have not bought it because I don't trust myself to notice a difference
Yeah.
with like taking a sea moss pill or something. I'm like, I don't even understand. I've been so tired all week. And then today I just woke up. I feel great. I
Yeah.
could not tell you. I don't know why. I slept the same amount every night. I didn't do anything crazy. So I don't even think I would ever be able to tell like this product is really helping me sleep better or whatever. Because
What do you,
it just, nothing makes sense in my life.
so how would you even use the sea moss? Because I'm just picturing girls in Brooklyn walking around with sea moss covering their face
Well, I
during the
think
day.
you can use it like that, but I think it's also like it you ingest it, like you eat it or drink it, I
You
think.
eat the okay, so you eat the sea
Yeah,
moss.
there's like sea moss capsules.
Okay.
Yes. And there's gel. There is a gel as well, but I don't know what you do with the gel.
I've seen the sea
Um,
moss gel. I mean, I feel like everything that could be a bullshit supplement goes back to the first person to bottle water and sell it. Like everything
Facts.
goes back to some
That
guy that goes,
person, great
would
idea.
people buy water if we put it in a plastic bottle? And every one of this guy's friends is like, no fucking shot. There's no way people would buy it. And then he just stands out on the street and starts slinging bottles of water for $5 a piece.
Fuck yeah. Damn.
Mr.
You know
Poland
what?
Spring.
That's what this guy should do. Like, he should take, obviously I don't think there's any, like, he can't really probably bottle any of his fluids and sell them. I mean, he can do that on OnlyFans. But either way, he should take this like news story and this just cool fact about himself, like make that his thing, and like go into, I mean, he already works at a brewery, which is pretty cool. Maybe he can get like his own beer brewed, or just kind of work in that realm of like, this is my line of beverages or whatever.
Yeah.
And start selling that. I think that'd be a pretty cool idea.
He's just like, hey, do you hate last call? Do you hate not being able to get more drinks in a bar? Just call this number and I'll show up and throw up in your mouth outside of the bar.
I'll baby bird you.
And I'll baby bird you these drinks, and then
Yeah.
you'll continue to get drunk after hours, and it'll only cost you $30. And he just goes around the city just baby birding his own brewed
It's the
brewed
American
intestinal
dream, or
vomit.
it's the Belgium dream.
Exactly, yeah. I'm just thinking, like, imagine, because I don't know when you develop this. It could be as a kid or it could be later in life. But imagine you go, let's say, 30 years without this syndrome, and then all of a sudden your gut starts producing alcohol, and you probably think you have ALS or Parkinson's or something. Like,
Yeah.
you're just like constantly stumbling around, feeling fucked up all the time. And you're like, I have some severe neurological disorder. And you go to the doctor and he tests you, and the doctor's like, no, your body is just slipping you drinks. Like, your body is like the drunk guy at the bar who keeps buying everyone rounds, but it lasts forever. That your body is just doing that to you.
Yeah, so it says here that this guy, when he got arrested, he blew, I mean, I don't know, this is 0.9 milligrams of alcohol per liter. I don't understand their testing system, but knowing that their limit is 0.5, that's like double. So
I'm gonna
damn.
Yeah. Well, okay. So if our limit in the U.S. is 0.08, and that's about 4 drinks, I'm assuming 0.5 is also around 4 drinks. So did he have double then, or almost double? He had 0.8.
Yeah, almost double. Yeah.
So he probably, I'm gonna guess that's around 5 or 6 drinks in his system. 5 or 6 drinks worth from his stomach factory of brew.
That's pretty intense. Now,
Yeah.
I'm also wondering, so it's because it's happening due to this fungus, and that is probably coming from carbs. So I'm wondering if he just like, he's working all day. He's like, God, I'm so thirsty. He's like drinking like just like soda or something, like to get through the day. And
Yeah,
then he's like, I'm fucking hammered after drinking 3 Diet Cokes.
He gets court ordered keto. The judge is like,
Yeah.
no more fucking bread for you.
No.
Only avocado and oils.
Yeah, no, I mean,
so
it seems like that might
So
be.
you stop murdering families of 5 on the way home with your alcoholic stomach breath.
Well, I think he should be able to file for disability and get a free chauffeur. That should be what the government, if you don't want him driving, he's just living his life. He's not even drinking. He's just living his life and is drunk all the time. And that's not his fault. That's his gut bio issue. He needs help. Okay. So the government should be paying money so he can afford, at least writing him disability checks so he can afford Ubers or a driver or something. And then that's a loophole for the police to be like, okay, now we can arrest you because
lifetime worth of Ubers. And then he just goes broke from throwing up in the back of every single Uber, just accumulating 200 euro charges.
Yeah.
Every time. It's not me, it's my stomach. Oh,
Man.
It's not my
man.
fault.
Wow. That's super interesting. I never heard of that disorder in my life.
Yeah. I hope it's
Wow.
made up. That would be hilarious. Like this guy's just the biggest alcoholic you've ever. He's drunk all the time. That people are like, he has to have this syndrome because I've never seen him sober. But meanwhile,
Wow.
he's just been sneaking whiskey 24/7.
Yeah, like
This entire
actually
thing is made up.
he is a heavy drinker.
Yeah. I mean, if he were to get cured of this, I'm just wondering how bad the hangover would be that first day of your body.
Yeah, would he go into withdrawal and like die?
You had like it has
Like
to be
would he go into
similar.
shock?
Yeah, if he's basically on 3 to 4 drinks the entire day, and all of a sudden his stomach just stopped fertilizing alcohol, your body doesn't know the difference between alcohol in your bloodstream from your stomach and you drinking alcohol. So I assume
Wow.
he just has to go into massive withdrawal, getting the
That's kind of
worst
scary.
hangover of all time.
People die from that, like from
Yeah.
withdrawal. And if he's been essentially drunk his whole life, like he is at risk of dying. If
No, yeah, he needs this disease
he needs a beer.
to continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I wonder if like when he feels sick, like that's his medication. Is like he wakes up, he's like, I'm feeling sick, and it's like actually it's just like the withdrawal kind of kicking in. And so the
Yeah.
doctor's orders is like you need a 6-pack delivered
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, a 6-pack of Bud Light just to equalize the fertilization in your stomach
Yes.
to bring it back
To
to
your normal levels.
Yeah, the pH balance of alcohol in his stomach. The doctor's like, we're gonna prescribe you some shooters to get it back to
I'm just
normal.
imagining him getting like rushed to the hospital, like severely ill, and then they
Yeah.
check on his gut and they're like, "Oh my, he's sober.
Yeah.
Quick, anybody
Yeah.
have a beer?" And they just like crush a beer into
Yeah.
his mouth.
Ba-
And then like his heart starts beating like easier.
Yeah, bag of Evan Williams stat. They just hook it up directly to his bloodstream.
Straight into. Yeah.
Yeah.
The IV drip is like just alcohol.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow.
So yeah,
Well,
that's
anything
basically it from this guy. He's just perpetually
love him. He's a
getting
legend.
drunk. Absolute legend.
Yeah, I'd love to come across that man, legendary man. Teach me your ways. I have a crazy story about a woman segue
Oh,
with
hell
a
yeah.
woman. Whoa!
Fuck yeah.
You ever heard of a woman? That's crazy.
Yeah, no, I didn't know they were allowed to have stories about them nowadays. That's
That-
crazy.
right?
2024, women can be in the newspaper.
It's
wild.
crazy. So a Brazilian woman brings her dead uncle to the bank to try to secure a loan.
Okay.
So this is like kind of insane. So it's a bit of a two-part story. So I'm going to give some background information. Basically, this woman, it seems like she was caring for her uncle. The day before this, a video comes out of her at the bank with her uncle. Her uncle is in a wheelchair, and it seems like it was pretty alarming to people, to the point that I guess the bank teller or somebody of the staff is like taking a video of this whole thing. So if you're curious, listeners, you can go and just Google Brazilian woman arrested for bringing dead uncle to the bank. The videos will pop up of her going to the bank with her uncle.
And the guy's
So-
in a wheelchair.
Yes, he's in a wheelchair. His face is blurred in the video out of, I guess, respect to his deceased privacy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's in a wheelchair. He looks like, an old man, like kind of frail. And in the video, she's like trying to get him to sign the documents. And his head just keeps falling back, like,
Yeah.
and then she's like lifting it up. And then he's just like, clear signs of
Yeah.
perhaps no life.
Yeah, she's like, no, my dad likes to pray a lot. He's just looking up at the heavens. He's
Yeah.
so thankful that we're getting this loan.
just
He's
has a
throwing his
lazy
head
neck
back. Yeah, he's
And
throwing his head back in
doesn't
joy.
speak, and like his hands just really stiff. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, no, he runs extremely cold. His
Yeah.
yeah, his eyes are just they've
Yeah.
been in the back of his head for decades now. That's just
Yeah.
how he
He's always
looks.
like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's kind of the clip of her at the bank. So it looks like he's unwell. At the very least, you're like, this guy is unwell, and he's definitely not coherent enough to be signing for a loan. So the bank calls the police. The police come, they arrest her because he's in fact dead. And they charged her with a bunch of things, but it's just interesting kind of the story leading up to it. So the guy, the uncle, apparently was in the hospital the week leading up to this. He got discharged from the hospital alive, and there was another video footage found of her returning with him to the hospital the day before going to the bank. And he's alive in that video because he's like moving in the wheelchair on his own.
Got
So
it.
I guess then he dies at home that night or that morning. It had to be like that morning because rigor mortis sets in pretty quickly. I don't know
If his head was
exactly,
still
but
flopping around, I would
yeah,
assume it has to be, like you said, rigor mortis didn't set in yet.
it had to be like he died like, well, okay, wait. Because then, so she claims that he died on the way to the bank. And
Okay.
at first you're like, that's bullshit. Or he died at the bank. But then you're like, well, he mustn't have been dead for long, right? Because she's still able to kind of like move him around a little bit. And there's also footage of her taking a taxi or an Uber to the bank. And that's kind of one of my favorite parts of this is that this poor Uber driver just got unknowingly like brought into this crime
Yeah.
of helping this lady. He somehow is an accomplice to helping this lady because he couldn't, this old man, whether dead or alive, the Uber driver didn't know, could not get out of the car on his own. So the lady has the Uber driver like pick him up and put him in the wheelchair. And you can see in the video that the guy's kind of like, you can just get the sense that he's like, I don't know what's going on here. And then he just
Yeah.
gets in the car and drives away. And then another couple walks up past the niece and uncle.
Yeah.
And he must have looked so dead in the chair that the guy like walks up and it's like, you can't hear anything in the video, but you would infer that he's asking like, oh, is everything okay here? Like, is he okay?
Just going
Do
like,
you
your
need
dad's obviously
yeah, like, do
dead.
you need help? And it's actually kind of funny because then the guy that goes up and asks, like, is everything okay? He's with his wife because it seems like the wife was kind of like, you should ask if everything's like good over there. And so then he does, and the niece is like, oh no, yeah, we're fine, we're fine. He's just like this. And then so the guy walks away and he just like shrugs to his wife. He's like, I don't know, not my problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, so she brought her dead uncle. She claims that he died on the way there at the bank. But I would say I think he died before. And then she
Yeah.
was like, I'm gonna take his still warm body to the bank and see if I can get a loan secured.
I just love how even if it was true that he did die on the Uber and the way to the bank, her first thought was not, "Oh my God, let me change the destination to
Yeah.
the hospital. Let me
No,
call an
it's like
ambulance."
we
It was,
go
we
to
have
the
to
bank.
secure this loan. We
Yeah.
have to get to the bank. We have to do what we have to do. Sure, there's a chance that we could save my dad, but
Yeah.
he's lived a long life. He would want this. He would want me to use his dead rigor mortis body to secure this loan and do a weekend at Bernie's bank situation.
Yeah. So then the loan wasn't even a big amount. It was, which is almost more sad.
It's
It
like
almost,
$57.
it's, and
This
so
woman
this is
killed
a,
her dad for $50.
yeah, that's the thing. So I'm Googling right now what the currency exchange is. So I'm not actually sure if this woman, let me see if I can get my details right for the people. It says Brazilian woman. So are they in Brazil? Let's see. Yeah, okay. So it seems like she's going to her local bank. Her name is Erica Nunez. So Mrs. Nunez was trying to secure that money. It was a $3,400 loan, which is not a lot of money. I mean, I guess if she's trying to secure like a house or like an apartment,
Yeah.
a
I mean,
security deposit or
that
something.
is 3 houses in Brazil. So I
Yeah,
will
okay.
cut her some slack
So
on that.
yeah, that's kind of a lot. So that's 16,684 Brazilian reals. I want to
Yeah.
say it's pronounced that way,
Reals.
reals.
That sounds right.
So yeah, that does seem like quite a bit of change in Brazil. So I guess she was trying to secure a house or a
Yeah.
car or just an escape. And now I also don't want to leave out the possibility that the deceased uncle was a part of this plan.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not gonna make it that much longer. So let me get my clothes on real quick and prepare to die so
Yeah.
you could take me to the bank."
Yeah. The daughter's trying to turn the Uber around and he just clutches her shirt with his last dying breath. He's like, "No, bank now. Go to
Yeah,
the
like this
bank."
could work. This could work for her. We can't rule that out. I mean, he's no longer with us, so we won't know for sure, but I just don't think we can rule it out because, it clearly they had a close relationship. She was caring for him up
Yeah.
until his passing. So he might have been like, there's only one way for you to live on, and that's to take my dead body to the bank and
I
force my signature.
I'm just surprised that anyone who worked at the bank even noticed this because I'm just picturing a typical work day for someone at a bank that's approving or denying loans. And you just have a line of 80 people that all have these fucking wild ideas and you're listening to them, like half listening to them. And after 30 seconds, you either go approve or deny. I'm surprised this guy even looked up and was like, "Oh my God, is that a dead body in a wheelchair?" rather than just
Well,
denying or
that's
approving
yeah.
this woman's loan.
You
Like
should.
you,
I
I,
just
I feel like you're just zoned out in a bank all day. And
mm-mm.
if someone was in a wheelchair dead, that would actually make your job easier. You wouldn't,
This
you,
bank kind of looks like the MVA. I just put the link in the chat. So if you want, you can pull up the link from there and see the video on TMZ. It kind of in the background of the video, I mean, it looks like it's a pretty busy bank. It's bumping. Like there's a wait. I see people waiting. It looks like they're getting called up. And yeah, you should just watch the video a little bit just to see what I'm talking about with this man is dead. Like so
yeah.
dead. The fact that they even let her reel him up to the counter, I mean, I think she did pretty well even making it that far, like
I'm,
getting to the counter.
I'm looking at the video now on TMZ that you sent
Okay,
me.
great. Let me know what you
All right.
think.
So I'm seeing a blurred out head. The head is
Yeah.
mouth open, rocking back in the chair. She
So
pulls
bad.
his head forward. This woman has the pen in her hand. She's putting a social security card or something on the
Trying to get
table.
get the pen in the hand.
Now she's placing the pen in the hand. The
But for some
worker's
reason he's just
obviously
not
saying
grabbing
something.
onto it.
Yeah. I mean, the guy's face is blurred out, and you could still tell that this
Yeah.
is the face of a dead man. The
Yeah.
eyes, the eyes are hollowed out. The mouth is just gaping open.
Yeah.
She
It's
even
so
waved in
fucked
front of his
up.
hand. I think the person working said something like, "Is your dad okay?" The daughter pretended to wave her hand in front of the dad, going
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, yo, is
No, she
everything
was
all right?"
fully in it. So it says in the article, she's seen talking to her dead uncle at various points, asking him if he can hear her and if he's listening, instructing him to sign, even though he's clearly not responsive.
Yeah.
So she's just going all out like, God, what has gotten in with you today, Uncle Nino? Why are you giving me
Yeah.
such attitude? When did I deserve the silent treatment? Okay,
Yeah.
just sign the paper.
I mean, when the cops came and informed her that she's wheeling around her dead uncle, I hope she put on the absolute performance of her life where she just starts breaking down
Yeah.
and crying. Because you have to in that situation. You have to just
Yeah.
be in it. You have to just say, okay, I'm going to pretend like I just found out that my uncle has died. And that's how you're going to get out of this.
Yeah. Well, so it says here that Erica may be charged with theft through fraud, embezzlement, as well as abuse of a corpse. And cops are trying to determine how this man died and if anybody else was involved. But yes, she's still just claiming that, she didn't know he was dead. Like, and I'm also that story though, I'm kind of like, so was your uncle always pretty unresponsive, or like what was his
Yeah.
personality type before that you would, if you truly didn't know, like does he typically ignore you and not answer and fall asleep often?
Yeah. I mean, this guy also could have been an abusive uncle. Who knows?
Facts.
Maybe he made her life shit, and she was like, you know what? I'm gonna squeeze the last juice out of this guy. I'm gonna use his dead body to get this $16,000 loan approved, and that's gonna be payback for, all the diddling when I was a kid. Who knows? Maybe she was in the right
Yeah.
here.
To be fair, I think we all have seen some old people sometimes that are actually so old that you do think they're already dead. You remember that one viral picture of Prince Philip before he died? He's like it's a picture of
No.
him in the car, and he just looks like he could be dead in that photo. Sometimes,
Yeah.
like,
I'm
okay,
seeing
you
it
know
right
what I'm
now.
talking about.
Yeah, his eyes are fucking sunken in and red. He looks stiff as a board. He's half
Yeah.
smiling. His eyes are
Like, he could
gone.
be
I
dead.
mean, yeah.
And now he
He looks
actually
like a
is.
dead
We know
person.
that. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, because I was kind of wondering, like, because when I saw that video and seeing his head roll back, that would have scared me. I would have been like, oh my, like, that is definitely a dead person. So I think that's where the issue was. Like, she needed to get a better wheelchair, one that had like head neck support, because that's where there's sometimes you see old people and they're just sitting there and they're so rigid and they're so old that they're basically like gray at like
Yeah.
their skin is graying and they look deceased already.
Yeah.
So I give some of these bystanders some slack because they could have been like, honestly, not the first old guy that I thought was dead.
Yeah. I hope that someone in my family tries to take my dead body as far as possible to try to just I'm sitting in the HOV lane. They're taking me to get a loan. I hope it's like it becomes a game in my family of how long can we use Zach's dead body before someone figures out that he's dead. That would be
Yeah.
so funny.
I guess not very long. You really have like not a lot of time before you start smelling and like just
Yeah.
locking up.
Yeah, when you start to
Um,
stiffen up, you have a solid 4 to 6 hours to use a relative's dead body before things start to tighten up. So that's the golden window.
yeah, I guess I can't say, times are hard here in America. I can only imagine that times could be even harder in Brazil.
Yeah.
And, that's why I'm saying maybe this was planned together. And, if one day I pass and my loved ones need some finances, give it a whirl. Give it a
Yeah.
whirl.
I mean, you go back and forth with loan officers for so long that when you get to the finish line, your dead uncle is not stopping you. So I do I do empathize with this woman's situation where she's like, you know what? I can smell the loan. I feel like this is gonna end up in my favor. Sure, my uncle's probably dead in this Uber, but this is not gonna stop us. This is what
Yeah.
he would have wanted. We're gonna finish this.
Yeah. I also don't know how loans work in Brazil. And I know how they work here, so yeah, you probably would need a signature, but I'm just thinking, in theory, she could have opened a credit card or something in his name without even like needing to go anywhere. You could have just did that online and
Yeah.
just if you know, I mean, you clearly know him well enough. You know his address, number, like you know a lot of his personal information. You could have just applied for it, which is still illegal,
Yeah.
but you're not bringing his corpse around society and into the bank.
Yeah.
So you could have avoided that and just applied for like a credit card and still got that much money to spend.
Yeah, it was going pretty well, in my opinion, in the video until his head went like
Yeah.
this and just fucking went. Like if I didn't see like that just go back in
Yeah.
the chair, I would have been like, okay, that guy is just like a very brittle old man. And then when his neck basically dislocated backwards, I was like, oh, that's a dead guy.
Yeah, that's a dead person. Okay.
Yeah. But no,
Interesting.
good for her for, trying to, keeping her head in the game, saying, I'm not going to let death stop this
Her
throne.
head's still on straight.
Yeah.
His might not be, but
Yeah. Oh.
but she's
Pew, pew,
locked in.
pew. Yep. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So good luck to you, Erica. And, I wish your uncle peace in his passing. And I'm sorry that you didn't get the loan secured in his name. 'Cause
Yeah.
he might have hoped that for you.
Yeah. Also, good thing that she had a wheelchair because it would have been much more difficult to get as far as she did if her uncle was walking and then passed away in the Uber. And then she has to basically like put him over the shoulder and
Yeah.
walk him up to the counter while also trying to get him to sign the paper. So
Yeah.
good thing his condition was advanced enough to require a wheelchair because I don't think she would have gotten through the door if she didn't have one.
No.
She's just
I
dragging
can't
him
even-
from behind. Come on.
Yeah, like
Come on,
you
uncle.
can't. There's no way. I mean, and he looked like a pretty frail old guy, but
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean this so literally, like dead weight is really hard to pick up and
Yeah.
move around. I mean, I can't imagine she would be able to do that. She didn't look like a very strong lady. She looked like a typical built woman, not bodybuilder vibes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good thing that, I don't know what ended up happening or what the legal consequences are in Brazil. I don't know if the mafia just, the cartel just comes.
Maybe they'll
and-
just steal that idea. They're like, actually, not a bad idea.
I
you
think
know?
they could. I think 100% that could happen.
It's worth a try.
Well, speaking of old guys,
Oh,
and
right.
there is a guy who is, from what I can tell in photos and videos, seems like he might be on his way out, much like this uncle in the wheelchair. A New York appeals court overturned Harvey Weinstein's sex crime conviction and ordered a new trial. So unless you've been living under a rock the past 5 or 6 years, you've heard of Harvey Weinstein. He was the face of the Me Too movement. He has been sitting in jail for at least a few years now.
Yeah.
And this morning, the New York Court of Appeals overturned the sex crime conviction against Harvey Weinstein, the powerful Hollywood producer whose downfall stood as a symbol of the Me Too movement. The court, by a 4-3 vote, ordered a new trial. The court proceeding said that, quote, we conclude the trial court erroneously admitted testimony of uncharged alleged prior sexual acts against persons other than the complainants of the underlying crimes because that testimony served no material non-propensity purpose. The court compounded that the error ruled that defendant had no criminal history that could be examined about those allegations, as well as numerous allegations of misconduct that portrayed the defendant in a highly prejudicial light. The synergistic effect of those errors were not harmless. So I have no fucking clue what any of that means.
So
but-
basically, to break it down, they're saying that from what I'm getting from this and what I
Yeah.
think a lot of the public is that his lawyers are saying that there's basically there is too much bad character evidence and that too many women came forward that basically like it was just too much that it doesn't count. Like
Yeah. Well, everyone knows that if there are too many rapes, that equals zero rapes.
so yeah, I'm like, so
It's like
because
once you
too
pass,
many women showed up.
it's like Monopoly. Once you pass a certain number of rapes, you go back to go, and you you just start
Yeah.
from the beginning.
I guess so. I
Yeah.
mean, and he looks like shit. I saw that picture. I mean, not that I think anyone is going to look incredible after spending, some time in prison, but he like looks so awful. He does look on the brink of death.
He could have been the guy in the wheelchair in the bank. He was trying to flee the
Except he's
country. He got to
not as
Brazil.
small. Still, Harvey Weinstein is still like just a behemoth of a awful person. Like he's so
Yeah.
hideous and still so large that I'm like, how
Yeah.
are you this old and still that large? And what's going on with your hair? That was my thing. Like, just because you're in prison, you have a lot of time on your hands when you're in prison, okay?
Yeah.
So I know you could have showered and shaved and gotten a haircut or at
Well,
least combed it over.
Well, I think what happened is outside of prison, he was a little bit fitter, I would say, and I think that's because rape does burn calories. Like when you're holding a woman down and you're committing sex crimes, like Harvey Weinstein is burning a good number of calories doing that. And then once he went to prison, he's like, well, now I'm the one getting raped. So like I'm just kind
Fair.
of sitting here getting pillaged, not burning nearly as many calories.
Yeah. It says here that the lawyer cited that Mr. Weinstein was not tried solely on the crimes he was charged with, but instead for much of his past behavior, which is funny because it's like, yeah, because all the past behavior that was brought up was like this horrible behavior of harassing women and like being misogynistic and just super rapey and weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, no, but that's not relevant. And I'm like, okay, but still, it's like everything he's done in his life has been awful.
Yeah.
So we're just pointing out that his character is pretty fucking bad, even aside from the rapes.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious that even more than the victims, Harvey Weinstein has to be the most surprised out of all this because he went to bed as basically the Tony the Tiger mascot for rapes.
Yeah.
And he woke up and they were like, you're almost free to go. Like if a few things fall your direction, you can just walk out of prison. And he's just like, are you sure? I raped a lot. And they're like, no. You're those are going to be re-examined. And he's just like, all right, I guess so.
So is he gonna like go back to court?
So it says that Weinstein 72 is being held at Mohawk Correctional Facility in Rome, New York. And he was also sentenced last year in Los Angeles to 16 years in prison for charges of rape and sexual assault. So I don't think that these charges, or sorry, the overturning of these sex crimes applies to all of them because he was convicted multiple times. So I still think no matter what, he'll be in prison for the time being.
Yeah.
Because of that LA charge. But apparently the New York Court of Appeals overturned that trial, that whatever one happened in New York.
Weinstein is literally a thing, a creature of nightmares because
Yeah.
also so many of the stories, like you could validate a lot of them because I'm pretty sure he had like gangrene of the dick. And that was
Did
why,
he?
yeah, like
I
like
remember hearing
his
something
penis
about him
was,
having a
like,
super deformed dick during the
yes,
trial.
and I'm
I
pretty
didn't know
sure
it was gangrene though.
I think it was gangrene, and that's why like they could verify that like these women were being legit because it's like, yeah, we all know what his horrible, hideous looking penis looks like.
Yeah.
And we'll never forget it.
I mean, there has to be nothing worse than being in the middle of a rape and you're like, all right, I'll just let it happen. And then the guy pulls out a gangrene penis and you're like,
Ugh.
come on. I couldn't have been raped. I couldn't have been raped by a normal penis. Now it has to be a
That's the
gangrenous
thing, like,
appendage.
yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. Like, it'll be traumatizing and fucked up regardless. Like, if it's freaking Greek mythology goddess or like Harvey Weinstein, you're gonna be traumatized and it's gonna be fucked up. But like that is really just the icing on a shit
Yeah.
cake. Is like not only am I getting assaulted and this gonna traumatize me for the rest of my life, but I'll never unsee the
Yeah.
hideous organ that I am looking at right now.
Yeah.
Like,
I love
wow.
how Harvey Weinstein was raping so much that even nature was trying to stop it. Like it was like
Yeah.
we have to make his dick fall off.
Like
How can we
anything.
how can we detach his dick from his body?
Ugh.
Just give him gangrene. I also want to know in New York, because someone had to have been going through things from the prior conviction. Like what judge was sitting in New York being like, something doesn't sit well with me about that Harvey Weinstein conviction. Let's take another look at that.
Yeah. I just got really lost in an article because I'm trying to learn about. I don't even want to go down this rabbit hole of like Harvey Weinstein again. This is just sucks for all of us. But these are some quotes from some of the victims. Um, So apparently he had like choked her and like forced her to put his balls in her mouth, but then she changed the story and they were like, "Why did you change the story?" And she said that she changed it because he actually just didn't have balls. Like it was just an empty sack. And it was just skin. It
Yeah.
was just empty skin. I mean, but
Yeah,
still,
she's
that's
like,
not necessarily a change of story. It's just kind of pointing out, like, well, it wasn't actually balls. It was just an empty sack.
yeah, it's a clarification, if anything. She's like, I wasn't lying. I just weren't sure
Yeah.
where his balls started
I didn't think you
and
would
his
believe.
cock ended.
Yeah. I didn't know how to like tell you, you know, like how do I point out? Maybe she just didn't know the anatomy, you know.
Yeah. It's also
Um,
funny that the judge is like, all right, well, if you're going to say that, then we're going to have a retrial because we can't
yeah.
have unclear ball definitions. We need
Oh
things to be
my,
exact in this
so many
courtroom.
women. This is an article of just women being like, of quotes of these Jane Does, like one, two, because they remain nameless, a lot of them. His penis was disgusting. It looked like it had been chopped off and sewn back on. Like something wasn't right about it. And that's what gangrene will do to you. Gangrene is like disgusting. It's literally like your flesh is dying on your body.
Maybe he went to Brazil and tried to have that dick lengthening surgery where they insert an extra
Oh,
piece
yeah,
in your
yeah.
cock. And then they sewed it, but he paid like $2,000 for the
Damn.
surgery. It went
That's
wrong, and then
actually
he came
pretty
back.
valid. I would actually believe that because he obviously had a bunch of money
Yeah.
beforehand. And, you know, like he's just the type of loser to be like, I need to get an extendo dick.
I
And then it
mean,
just was
wasn't he?
horribly wrong.
Wasn't he? He was Jewish. Harvey Weinstein. Weinstein is definitely a Jewish name.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's a Jewish name?
It could be a circumcision gone wrong. Maybe
Yeah.
he's had a botched dick since he was a kid.
Yes.
Because
Says
there are
lots.
stories like that where fucking like
Yeah.
untrained rabbis circumcise kids and they fucking like they have
Yeah.
to tell the parents like I accidentally cut half your son's cock off.
Yeah. Where do you stand on the like circumcision debate of like circumcising your potential future son?
Um, I mean,
I'm like
definitely.
just curious because I know it's a pretty hot topic these days. It's kind of like more of a debate that's happening.
I would say do it in the hospital by a medical professional. Don't have your son and then have the ceremony, whatever they call it,
Oh
where
yeah,
you have
no.
a rabbi come over with basically a box cutter and he literally
Hell no.
licks your son's dick to peel it back and cuts off the skin. Like if you're literally they do that. They like
I
lick
had
the
no
penis
idea.
to lube it up.
I'm
I
not
swear to
familiar
God.
with like old school Jewish
It's
traditions.
it's a weird ass ceremony.
They do what though? Wait a second.
They literally they lick the tip to like pull it back easier. I swear to God. It's
I've never
I'm
heard
not
of this in
making
my
this
life.
up. let me
And this is something that obviously not all Jewish people do, but you would say like traditional, super traditional Jewish people.
yeah, okay. The Metsitsa Mabay, it's like a Hebrew word, Metsitsa Pape. The ancient method of performing Metsitsa or oral suction has become
Oh
controversial.
my
The
God. It's like
pro
a siphon.
the
Like you're
pro
trying
the
to siphon.
yeah, the process has the mohel, which is the Jewish ceremony leader. The
Yeah.
mole place his mouth directly on the infant's genital wound to draw blood away from the cut. So I guess it's like they cut the dick, the baby dick, and then it starts bleeding. And then you're not, in a hospital with proper medical equipment. So you're like, how do we get this blood out of here? I have to suck it away with my mouth like a snake bite.
That is the craziest thing I've ever heard. I've never heard that in my life. Wow.
I mean,
That's insane.
technically, if you got your dick circumcised by a mole, the first time you ever got fellatio was by a rabbi when you were
Yeah.
3 months old, or whenever they
Wow.
do it.
Legend. That's the stuff of legends right there.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, yeah. So it's
wow.
hard. It's tangential to Harvey Weinstein. The
Yeah.
mole assaults could be considered, infant sexual assault
Yeah.
trauma, I
Facts.
guess.
Yeah. But so are you pro circumcision? Like that was just in the hospital versus
By
not circumcising your baby.
I don't know if I would say pro, but I would say if you're gonna do it in the hospital
That
for
was
sure.
really, you were really talented. It was almost like you were just media trained right there, Zach. You were like you dodged the question almost so masterfully.
Well, here's what I would say. I guess thinking as a guy,
Yeah,
in
no, that's
it
why
go
I'm
it,
asking
it
because
also
I'm
depends.
genuinely curious.
Also depends what part of the world you're in, but in America, in most places, most guys are gonna be circumcised, whether you're Jewish or not. That's just the culture. So if I had a son that's growing up in New York and he's a white kid that's uncircumcised, that could lead to some jarring sexual experiences where he pulls out his dick to have sex for the first time or to hook up, and the girl's like literally the first thing he sees from a female at his dick is like a girl going like, ew, like what the
I don't know if that's
fuck?
ever, I mean, I'm not, I
Because
guess I can't say that's never happened, but
because
I know women, like I have friends, that we've grown up together. I've never had any friend ever tell me like, ew, uncircumcised penis or I was scared. I've never, they've always just been like, yeah, whatever, and just like moved on with their
yeah,
lives.
I just think there's a certain expectation if you're in certain areas where and not that that means you have to be circumcised, but there could be a, certain interactions when you're younger where a woman or a guy, depending
Hmm.
on what sexuality you are, is not like, even if they're not meaning to be visually disgusted, there's just a reaction that doesn't make
Isn't that
the
kind of
son feel
fucked up
well.
though, Zach? Like when you think about it, because it's like, but your penis just is like that. Like what
Yeah,
we, it's like this weird beauty standard that like, why we should know what an just a normal penis looks like.
I agree. I think there should be education about both types of circumcised and non-circumcised
Yeah.
dicks. But even when I'm thinking back to biology textbooks or just depictions of genitals that you see in whether it's media or porn is a big one. I
I
think
don't know. Yeah,
there's not a lot
you
of
gotta specifically search in
there's not a lot of
uncircumcised if that's what
exactly.
you're looking for.
And especially when girls and guys are watching porn when they're younger, that's usually the first time you're going to see
That's
any
true. Yeah.
private parts, whether it's penis or vagina. It's 98% circumcised dicks. So
Yeah.
you're forming this expectation. And then if you see an uncircumcised one, you could be like, whoa, like that's,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
that's
an
weird.
interesting debate though, because it's like the other side. Because I would say, I don't really know how I feel, but I almost feel on the other side of things. But I'm also not a guy, so that's why I asked because, it's good to get that input. And I know that our generation and above are definitely, 8 out of 10 guys, 9 out of 10 are probably going to be circumcised.
Yeah.
I
There's a
think
there's
younger
a
generations are getting a little bit less because of us. We're starting to be like, well, that's literally like just random mutilation of a baby for like no reason.
Yeah, no, and I think the cutting off of a part of your appendage when you're that young, there's a certain percentage that are going to go wrong, which is obviously super traumatic and affects the rest of
Yeah.
your life. The only thing I would say is that there is the argument of hygiene, that it just makes it easier
Gotta
to
teach them how
clean.
to clean their dick.
It
I
just
mean,
makes it easier to
you gotta
clean down
unsheath
there.
it. Unsheath
True,
it and
true,
get in there.
100%. But there's a lot of dirty boys out there, and
Yeah, I
myself
believe that.
included. And I don't know if that still applies because people, obviously hygiene gets better and better as
Yeah.
we advance as a civilization. But
Yeah.
I've heard that it's easier to keep your dick clean circumcised as opposed to uncircumcised because it's basically a hood that closes in all the bacteria.
Yeah.
So
I actually
who knows?
don't know what to do. Like, not that I plan on having children anytime soon, but I'm like, that is one of those things where I'm like, I actually don't really know where I stand because I feel logically it makes no sense to mutilate a baby when it doesn't serve any real purpose. You can still stay hygienic. You just need to know how, and that's a parent's job to teach their kid how to clean themselves.
Yeah.
And then, like, there's no reason really. And I'm not Jewish, so I don't have that reason in there either. So it's like, I've always just been like, logically, why would I ever do that? But then there is this societal thing where it's like, well, I don't want him to be the only kid in the locker room with, like, I guess, an uncircumcised penis. And then everybody's like making fun of him. But I hope that
Yeah.
that wouldn't happen. I don't know.
Just do what I'm gonna do. If I have a son when he turns 18, I'm gonna hand him a cake and a box cutter and say, "You decide. You choose."
Hey, you can get circumcised later in life. It's just you're gonna
Yeah.
feel it and remember it.
Exactly. If you want to do it, I'll drive you to the hospital right now
Yeah.
and we'll do it together. And if not, happy birthday.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I liked a good detour. I actually prefer thinking about that than Harvey Weinstein's gangrene penis. So I needed to go a different route.
Oh yeah. I mean, maybe if Harvey Weinstein did have a moil to suck out the blood and the disease, he wouldn't have a gangrenous penis. So who knows what happened to his
Yeah.
dick? Well,
I
I hope he stays in prison, not just because of the rapes, which he should be in prison for, but also because I want him to have time to write his autobiography. Because I really want to go to I'll pretty much go straight to the chapter where
Yeah.
he talks about like, and this is what happened to my dick. I'm
and
just
I
gonna
want it to
turn
be
right
an
that page.
audiobook.
Yeah.
So you can get the full experience.
Listen to or read by him.
Yeah, no,
So you
exactly.
can hear the
He's got
trauma in his
nothing else
voice.
to do, Zach. I
Yeah.
mean, that's all they have in prison is books and like a tape recorder. So yeah. Well, yeah. So anything else on Mr. Weinstein? I guess we'll all just, begrudgingly see these headlines because I think all of us would prefer a life with
No, yeah.
Weinstein in prison.
That's pretty much it. I had one thing that I wrote down where I was like, if they do let Harvey Weinstein out of prison, his punishment should be he either has to get raped 100 times before he gets let out of prison or have to sit through the Ghostbusters remake once. So that was
That's
just
pretty bad.
that was just a stipulation for if he does get let out of prison, what he has
Yeah.
to do beforehand. He has to make that choice.
Okay. That, neck and neck,
Yeah.
right there with those choices.
Exactly. So yeah, it's basically, I don't know why. Sometimes I'll be reading a story and I'm like, that's a thought worth writing down. And then as I'm reading it, I'm like, I didn't have to write that down.
Yeah, could have let it pass.
Yeah.
Could have let it pass. All right. Well, I guess in other news, in almost more horrifying news, President
More
Biden.
horrifying than, wow, okay.
Yes, President Biden has signed a bill to ban TikTok, Zach. And
I heard about this.
I just want to be clear that Trump would have done this too. I mean, the House the House voted for this, and it was like pretty off balance. The House voted to pass this before it even got to Biden's
Yeah.
desk. They passed it with 352 votes to say yes and 65 votes saying no. So they passed it with flying colors, and Biden just signed off on it. But so now with that, TikTok, our beloved app, only has 9 months to either divest, so like sell the company, or get this overturned, which is what the CEO wants to do. But I think honestly, that's not probably going to happen. So the whole thing about this is that TikTok is kind of owned or operated in China.
Gotcha.
And US and China relations aren't that great. I mean, we both utilize each other's imports, exports, and we get things done, but we do not have a great relationship with China. And
Gotcha.
so we want to basically put a stop to TikTok and China having access to, our information and our lives and all of that stuff.
I'm just seeing this right now. Breaking news. It's saying that the dead uncle, the footage of him signing the loan in the bank is actually footage of Biden signing the anti-TikTok ban bill.
You have me. I literally thought there was breaking news. I was like, what? I was seriously believing that. I mean, yeah, that it could be. He's
Yeah.
another old guy that actually looks on the brink of death.
But yeah, like you said, this is you mentioned Trump too. Wasn't there a TikTok scare during his presidency as well? Because I remember
but
like
Trump
3 or 4
was
years
pro
ago, people
this
were like,
as well. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying, like, it doesn't really matter. Trump would have done the same thing. So not really to blame Biden, but also like when the House pretty much unanimously passes something, the president is always gonna pretty much sign
Yeah.
off on it.
Yeah, because I remember a few years ago when every creator on TikTok was basically crying into the camera saying, please don't let
Well,
this
now
pass.
it's really happening.
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah.
actually happening. If in 9 months, if he has not sold or divested the company or gotten a judge to overturn this, the app will be done for, which seems fucking crazy because I love TikTok. And
Yeah.
it's just wrong because we're starting to get we just started to figure out TikTok, Zach. We're just
Yeah.
starting to get good watches, some commentary. I mean, we can't. This is not the American dream, okay? So
I
many
mean,
people are making money on TikTok, and now we can't make money that way.
it
That's
sounds
fucked up.
like it sounds like a government conspiracy to take down Breaking Takes. I don't think it's a
I believe it.
coincidence. The first few weeks we start to consistently get in the thousands of views on TikTok.
Right.
The House is like, nope, can't have this.
Right?
Getting rid of it.
No, so I genuinely am upset because I love TikTok and I hate Instagram Reels and I have friends that like never downloaded TikTok and they send me Instagram Reels that I saw like 3 months ago on TikTok.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is so funny. I'm like, I saw that literally months ago. So it's like the algorithm, and we know as creators, like we are pretty much on every social platform and we get so much more action on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
And
The
that
algorithms
versus Instagram.
the algorithms for Instagram Reels and TikTok confuse me for different reasons because I'll see a video with 1 million views on Instagram Reels and it'll just be a video of Turks and Caicos with a Drake song over it and it'll be someone just panning
Exactly.
to the beach and it'll have 1 million views. And then I'll go to TikTok and I'll see a guy slapping the McDonald's counter screaming and that will also have 1 million views.
Yeah.
And, like I'm watching them both. I'm like, what is the thing here that people are like,
Yeah.
I need other people to see this? Like, what is
Yeah.
the hooks? What are the hooks of both algorithms? It continues to confuse me to this day. But I think we're
Yeah.
figuring it out on TikTok.
Yeah, and TikTok is just way better for these types of videos. I think, these creators that are now like making a lot of money on TikTok, I love a lot of them because it's just I watch like lawn mowing videos and like cow hoof trimming videos, and
You're
these are
not helping the lesbian stereotype at all.
hey, I
I
love Home
sometimes I
Depot.
just like to go onto TikTok and watch some cows get their hooves
It's
defiled.
very calming, Zachary.
Watch lawns get cut. I'm not saying it's not.
It's
I think it
good
is.
material, okay? And these are just simple men and women that have basic as fuck jobs that I would have never even known about hoof trimming or cared about this man mowing a lawn. And now I love seeing the before and afters. And this person's also making money from their normal job, but they're making so much more money from people like me that are liking and viewing. I mean, they're getting thousands and thousands upon thousands of views. So now it's like, this is so anti capitalism, anti America to get rid of TikTok and get rid of these people making money and having multiple streams of money. And
Yeah.
us. I
Yeah.
mean, what the fuck?
True. I do love how the U.S. government puts up this pretend barrier of we don't want China to take over. Foreign influence in the United States is not what we want, and then they just let Saudi Arabia buy every single sports organization in the United States, and like, oh yeah, Saudi Arabia is fine. They can control
Yeah.
the entire U.S. economy, but China can't own an app
Yeah.
that is being used in the U. Also, just let China take over. They're gonna take over. They're smarter than us.
They might.
Their TikTok. I've seen articles about China's TikTok pushing out more educational videos and videos to make their population smarter, whereas for the American algorithm, they're just trying to make us dumber. So
Yeah.
they're gonna take over anyway. Put the chips in us. Give us the cars. Give us the Huawei phones. Just let us keep TikTok. It's gonna happen anyway. They're gonna sink their hooks into the United States one way or the other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is definitely fair to say that the American dollar has lost a power, and there's a lot. I mean, it's only natural. But I think Americans like don't realize that like, yeah, the tide changes, at a certain point. So we are kind of losing some power, which I think is why though that the government is like, we gotta stop this Chinese,
Yeah.
like they can't have this much power.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it just kind of sucks. So I'm just wondering, the owner says it, or the CEO says it's obviously a disappointing moment, but it does not need to be a defining one. This is actually ironic because the freedom of expression on TikTok reflects the same American values that make the United States a beacon of freedom. So he's bummed out, but he's like, I'm going to fight this. I think he should probably sell it, but then it's like, who's going to, I don't know how this stuff works. Like, I guess you would need to sell it to like either like Elon Musk he could have been the hero that we all needed.
Yeah.
And instead of buying Twitter, he could have bought TikTok now.
Yeah.
But he probably can't. He probably doesn't want to buy TikTok. So I'm just like, would you think you'd have to sell it to like multiple? You'd have to divest it like to multiple people. I have no idea.
I mean,
I don't even know what the app is worth. I'd assume a lot of money.
I think someone will step up and buy it, whether it's some tech billionaire in the U.S. or some Saudi prince that's gonna take over. I think TikTok is too valuable to go by the wayside in the American market.
So. It feels crazy to even think about now, like life without TikTok, which I guess, I mean, we still have Facebook, which like nobody really uses anymore, but it still exists and we still have it. So I'm just like, it feels weird to then be like, okay, here's this other social media that we have that now like you're just gonna take it from us. Like we're all about to be traumatized. Like this is my baby.
Yeah.
You're just gonna rip our babies out of our hands.
The American government must be so scared of TikTok because TikTok distracts us from a lot of the fucked up shit that the government does.
Yes.
So if they're willing to pull away the distraction, they're like, well, we don't care if Americans have more time to dig into all the corruption in the U.S. government. We just need to get TikTok out of here. Because if anything, TikTok helps the government get more power because everyone's just scrolling and distracted for 16 hours a day.
Yeah, I mean, I think TikTok is also like super educational. I mean, it's not like getting a degree, but it's educational to the point where it's like, oh, if you just need to know kind of the inside scoop of like what's going on, like you need to have some understanding of something, you can go on TikTok and just get like if I wanted to know how a dentist fills a cavity, I could go on TikTok and get a full detailed video. And I do watch these videos as well
Yeah.
of cavity fillings. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a pretty cool app and I don't want it to go.
I mean, that's the future of university. It's going to be just hours watched on TikTok for a certain topic as opposed to
Wow.
getting credits from an actual class.
Yeah.
If you watch 1,000 hours of dentistry on TikTok, you can start performing
Should
dental
qualify
surgery.
for something. Yeah. At least it should qualify for like your internship or something.
Yeah. Yeah. The moil that circumcised Harvey Weinstein did not watch enough TikTok circumcision videos, which is why
Exactly.
his dick is falling off.
Yeah. And you know what? If TikTok had been around then, Harvey Weinstein might still be out there. So maybe we're happy that that didn't happen. I don't know. But yeah,
It's
I
all
was
up
just
in the
sad.
air.
I'm sad about the news, but that just makes it more important for our listeners to like and review and subscribe to this podcast and also follow us on Instagram at Breaking Takes.
Yeah.
And literally just find us anywhere else and
And let it
like and follow us.
let us know if you were stuck in the woods with Harvey Weinstein, TikTok, or a bear, which one would you
Definitely
run
the
from
bear.
first? Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to be with the bear and yeah, not Harvey Weinstein in the woods.
But yeah, rate us and subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, breakingtakes.supercast.com for bonus episodes, premium content. And we'll talk to you guys next time.
Yeah. See you next time. Bye.
Peace.